Starting your own business sounds glamorous, right? Maybe even a little bit sexy. The fancy cars, the freedom, the money, the ability to work from anywhere. All of that sounds really cool, doesn't it? Well, there's an aspect of entrepreneurship that nobody's really talking about online. Maybe they are offline. I don't think so. But these are things that nobody's going to tell you. There are hidden truths about starting a business that you need to know so you can make an educated decision about whether or not you're ready. These are 3 hidden truths about starting your own business. Wow, your website looks great. Designing a great-looking website that looks good and functions properly on any device isn't easy. But in 8 weeks to exit, I will share all of the tools that I use and show you exactly how to do it. Over the past several years, I've built dozens of websites. I know what to do, how to do it, what plugins to use, and which ones to avoid. From the very beginning, you will know you got set up the right way. Check out 8weekstoexit.com for more details. I'm not one of those entrepreneurs who gave up their 6-figure salary and fancy office to start a business, and I wasn't selling lemonade to my neighbors when I was 7. I wasn't born an entrepreneur, and I never laid awake at night dreaming of owning my own business. My name is Ellery Wells, and I was forced to make a decision. Welcome to the Ellery Wells Show, where we talk with real entrepreneurs about real problems that they're facing and real solutions on how they are overcoming obstacles, achieving their goals, and making a difference in the world. If you're an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, this is the place to be to help you start, build, or grow your business. By the way, all that stuff that I mentioned before, the fancy cars, I have all of that. I'm not bragging, I'm just telling you, but I still drive a Nissan SUV. I still, even though I could work from anywhere, I usually am just working here at home and sometimes out on my back porch. It is awesome, but it's probably not as glamorous as you might think it is. But the other day, I was on a Zoom call with one of my subscribers named Michael. And during our call, Michael asked me why I got into podcasting. You know what I told him? You might know the answer to this if you've listened to the Ellery Wells Show for, I don't know, maybe a long time. But I've talked about this before. But you know what I told him about why I got into podcasting? I said, I started podcasting because I wanted to get rich. Whoops. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. I don't know if I'm supposed to say I want to make money. Aren't we just supposed to get into podcasting because we love the sound of our own voices? Oh wait, that's not right either. Well, maybe it's because we love talking about ourselves. Well, no, that's not right either. But in all seriousness, I started podcasting because I heard John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur on Fire, which I was just on, by the way. If you go to eofire.com and search for Ellery Wells, you will find that episode. But I got into podcasting because I heard John tell Pat Flynn of SPI, which I was also on, by the way, that he was making a lot of money with Entrepreneur on Fire. That's what John told Pat. And I told myself that if I could even make a fraction of what John was making, then I would be successful. And by the way, John, whenever I tell him that story, he gets pretty amused as to why I got into podcasting. But if you fast forward a few years, I started podcasting in 2013, and we're right now towards the end of 2017. If you fast forward a few years, I've not made a dime from my podcast. Well, at least not directly. I don't have any sponsors, though I've turned down a few. The only products or services that I promote on the Ellery Wells Show, or that you're going to hear here, usually, or up to this point, something might change, but the ones that you will hear are my own products and services. But in that way, I don't have third-party sponsors, but in the way of promoting my own products, I have made a lot of money from my podcast. But this isn't about making money with a podcast. This is about the hidden truths of starting a business. And my experience with podcasting is a good parallel to my experience with entrepreneurship. And that leads me to the first of the 3 lessons that we're going to talk about today. But not officially. This is a side and bonus lesson. If you start a business to get rich, you will fail. People see right through an agenda driven by money. And if you think about profit first, you will fail. I wouldn't say my podcast is a failure by any means, but I started the podcast to make money, and in that regard, I have failed. Okay, it's pretty obvious. That's no hidden truth, which is what brought you here today. And you're right. But these next 3 things are hidden truths about starting a business, and nobody seems to want to talk about them. So here we go. Hidden truth number 1. You will lose friends. You can't steal second with your foot on first, and you can't sail the ocean if you won't leave the shore. To become who you were meant to be, you will have to leave parts of your old life behind. I remember walking around in my backyard one day, and a guy I used to work with at Dell, who we'd played golf many times together, he drove by on his golf cart, and he didn't say a word. He completely ignored me. When we worked together at Dell, every time he'd see me out on my back porch, he'd stop and we'd have a little chat. Well, not like a little chat, but we'd talk. When you strike out on a new adventure, you will have to leave people behind. Out of an entire village, Frodo only took 3 friends with him when he left to save the world. People from your old life often want to keep you in the box they've put you in. They won't understand the new you, and that's okay. Hidden truth number 2, you will have to leave part of your old self behind. What got you where you are is all of the things that you've done. Every decision you've made and every action you've taken has led you to this very moment. Though some people like to believe they're victims, the odds are they aren't. Once we accept that we are in control, and A, you are, and B, you will have to embrace that if you're going to start a business. Let me really start that sentence over with those caveats. Once we accept that we are in control, we can accept that there are some things about ourselves that we will have to give up. And remember, you are in control, and you will have to own that if you're going to start a business. You'll have to leave your bad habits behind and create new good habits. You'll have to leave behind your shyness, your insecurities, and your doubts. If you're going to be successful, you've got to leave your laziness at the door and pick up new skills and talents that will help you get where you are going. Even if you're happy where you are and with who you've become, you'll have to ask yourself if where and who you are is where and who you want to be. Ooh, that's deep, isn't it? But it's the hashtag truth. I haven't talked with a single successful entrepreneur who didn't get that way without making significant changes in their life and shedding the skin of their old self. Hidden truth number 3, you're going to get lonely. I left loneliness for last because it's one of the hardest parts about starting your own business. Whether it's loneliness due to physical closeness, just people being near you, or loneliness due to mental isolation, entrepreneurship can be a really lonely thing. So let's talk about the physical isolation first. During the first 6 months after leaving Dell, I worked from home every single day. I'd put in long hours all day and usually work until I could barely keep my head off of the keyboard. When convicts in jail break the rules, they get placed in isolation. They're removed from the gin pop, from the other prisoners, and they're put into solitary confinement. They're thrown in the box, and they aren't allowed to interact with anybody else. Entrepreneurs put themselves into the box, into this isolation chamber voluntarily. And after 6 months, I started to lose it. I was going nuts. My only interactions were with my wife and with our cat, and I don't know who talked more. I'm just kidding. I'm making a cat joke, not a wife joke. But that's when I started to go to Starbucks once a week and work for a few hours. I had to get out of the house. Now let's talk about mental isolation. The other type of loneliness is this mental island we put ourselves on that accompanies starting a business. There are a lot of pressures that go along with entrepreneurship. Society has given us a set of rules to live by. Outside of entrepreneurship, we're supposed to go to school and get a job, and you're supposed to live in a certain place and do a certain thing and behave a certain way. And when you live outside of those guidelines, it's kind of hard for people to understand. When you're creating something new, that new thing is like your baby. You put hours, weeks, and months into something that people can tear to shreds in just seconds. Entrepreneurs create things, and every day we're judged by the merits of our work. Even our spouses, regardless of how interested, supportive, or involved they are, often struggle to relate what we're going through. If you're going to be successful in any endeavor, not just entrepreneurship, you must surround yourself with like-minded people who've been through what you're going through and understand where you're going. That's why having a mastermind is so important. I wouldn't trade my life as an entrepreneur for anything, but it does get lonely. Not all the time, but often enough to notice. So to wrap up today, entrepreneurship is incredibly hard. Striking out on your own or attempting something new is very difficult. Most people aren't prepared for the sacrifices they will have to make, and when they do discover what those sacrifices are, they decide just their dream isn't worth it, and that sucks. I do not want to discourage you from starting a business. In fact, I believe everyone should start a business at least once in their life, and that entrepreneurship will make you a better person. But every new level of success that you attempt to reach will require new and different sacrifices. You'll have to leave more things behind and make new friends at every stage to get where you want to go. However, going into this situation unprepared is a mistake. You need to know what you're getting into so you can face the challenges head on. And if you need some support, some guidance, encouragement, and accountability, I'm here to help. Not only for the Ellery Wells Show and with the blog, but with coaching and masterminds as well. So here's the question that I will leave you with today. What other hidden truths need to be on this list? What challenges have you faced as a new or current or majorly successful entrepreneur? Let me know. You can find the notes for this, leave a comment, and tell me what hidden truths need to be on this list by going to ElleryWells.com/hidden truths. Thank you for listening to the Ellery Wells Show. I'm your host, Ellery Wells. If you like this material, if you like the show, will you pull up an email and send out a blast to all of your friends who need to hear it, and send them to ElleryWells.com/show. You'll find links to Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, all that kind of stuff, and I would love to have your friends, your coworkers, and your family members as listeners as well. From Round Rock, Texas, where the weather is amazing, I'm Ellery Wells, and I hope you have an awesome day.